Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno episode 258, and this is the show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. We go least favorite to best pick of the week, and everything in between. So let's get started. Had a pretty normal week. It was about 17 books this week, so let's get started. What was number 17? And that is Hack and Slash Resurrection issue 11. Just not feeling the direction of this book. I really like the camp stuff and in that story, but ever since then, I feel like it doesn't have a true direction for the book. I didn't really like Vampirella's motives of, oh yeah, you know, I'm a vampire and now I'm on your side again by the end. Sorry, I was not used to, you know, having, I think it was like this much blood or whatever, and I was just like, oh, that's kind of a poor way to bring her back on their side. So I didn't really like that. Didn't really care about the eye patch girl either, so just not as interested in this story as I was with the first arc here. So hopefully it gets back on track soon, but I gave this one 2 stars. And I'm still not a huge fan of the art style. Like I've always said, kind of the proportions have been weird, but I do think that the book has improved with its art style as the series has been going on. Now moving on to number 16, which is The Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, issue 23. Another book that hasn't found a great direction. I think it's found a direction now, but I just haven't been feeling like this has been a special story that should be about family. And I don't really get to see the connection between the three as much as I want. And I think it's really the artwork as well. I don't like the coloring. I don't think the colors mesh very well. Don't really like the art style at all. It's very bulky and cartoony, and I'm just not really interested in the art, so that really brings it down for me. We'll see if this book returns, because in the end it looks like it's taking a break for Spider-Geddon, which I'm really excited for, the Spider-Girls miniseries, of course, especially see Mayday Parker, and it says see you soon. So will we actually see them soon, or is it going to end after Spider-Geddon? I am curious, and I guess we'll find out with the solicits. Probably January solicits we'll find out. So I'm giving this 2.5 stars. Again, artwork really brought that down for me. Moving on to number 15, which is another Spider book, Edge of Spider-Geddon, issue 3. Not a bad book. Everything after this really are good books. I didn't, dislike these books. Just didn't make it as high as the other ones. And this one, obviously, you don't need to get these Edge of Spider-Geddon books. I'm getting every issue of the Spider-Geddon stuff just because, it's a Spider event, so I want to get the fullest storytelling here. So, and also this is Latour, the person who created Spider-Gwen. So I wanted to see if this would, have the same magic. I like the dynamic between this Peter and his Uncle Ben, and Uncle Ben kind of crossing a line that you don't expect in this issue. So I thought that was a nice twist, but it takes a while to get into it. I didn't really understand the relationship in the beginning. It throws you very quickly. I wish they kind of could have explained their story a little bit more before jumping into the big stuff. So overall, I gave this 3 stars. Artwork honestly reminds me a lot of Latour's style, even though Latour doesn't do the actual artwork. I think he's just writing it. But it was interesting to see. It was very similar to his style that we've seen for, like, Southern Bastards. So, giving that 3 stars. Another Spider book is going to be up next. I believe that's the last Spider book for the week. And that is Amazing Spider-Man Annual, issue 1, and the legacy number is issue 43. Not a bad book, just not a total necessary book. It depends if you're a big Venom fan. I'm over Venom right now. There's just a little bit too much Venom for me, and I've never been a hardcore Venom fan unless he's involved in the Spider-Man story, but as a solo person, I've never could get into Venom. I just like him as a spider villain. And it's cool to see kind of the missing days of Peter Parker when he had the Venom symbiote, but is it necessary? Again, depends how big of a Venom fan you are. I think if you are a fan, especially of that era of Spider-Man, pick this one up, but it's not worth $4.99 in my opinion. So I'm giving this 3 stars. I did like the artwork though, kind of reminds me of the older style Spider-Man stuff, so I enjoyed that. The coloring was really good, matching the coloring of what we've been getting with the current Venom ongoing series. So I'm giving that 3 stars. Moving on to number 13, which is Return of Wolverine, issue 1. I did an in-depth review for this, so I won't go too in-depth with this, but just, obviously the impact of Wolverine coming back hasn't, I think, been paced very well. We had the whole Return of Wolverine, whatever it was called, like I keep forgetting the name of what the previous series has been called, even in my in-depth review. It's not Return of Wolverine, it was like, The Road to Wolverine, I don't know. But anyways, we had the other series with Wolverine. We didn't actually see him. So now I'm already fatigued from that. And I read all the miniseries. I read all the one-shots because I am a Wolverine fan. But I'm already tired from that. And this is such a slow burn where Wolverine is like, I forgot stuff. Who am I? And I'm not necessarily interested in the story of how he is brought back so far. It's not interesting. A lot of exposition so far. So, giving this 3 stars. Even McNiven's artwork is not as strong as what we saw in Death of Wolverine. It feels a little bit more rushed. Feels like the inking is a little bit heavier than it was in Death of Wolverine. So, still beautiful artwork, which is why it's higher than the other books, but I put another level for McNiven, especially after Death of Wolverine. So, giving this 3 stars, obviously I'll be picking up the rest, but it was a pretty slow burn for the first issue. Alright, moving on to number 12, which is Franklin Richards' A Fantastic Year, a huge book. Look at this, even like kind of a hardcover type, not hardcover, but I guess a harder type cover here. Not an actual hardcover, but a tougher cover, I would say, than what we usually get. But it's all these short stories of Franklin Richards. If you're into, like, comic strip stuff, I think you'll enjoy it. I got it because I'm a big Power Pack fan, and Katie Power is here, so, and she's in a couple of the stories, so I'm like, I gotta get it for Katie, so I did. And if you have kids, I think you'll really enjoy it. Do I necessarily think this is worth $7.99? No, they're, again, just fun comic strip stories that you kind of read on in a Sunday paper, but they are fun, and if you like, you know, old school Franklin Richards, pick it up. It's fun. So I'm going to give this 3 stars, especially if you're a Power Pack fan. I enjoyed the Katie stuff. Alright, moving on to number 11, which is Incredibles 2, issue 3, another kind of kid book that I've been getting, and it never really passes that level of all ages kid stuff. You know, it doesn't really progress the story by any means. There's no real story arc, but it's cute. If you like this world, pick it up. That's why I'm getting it. It's just fun to see more from these characters. Artwork is pretty good for the first story. They do change it up a little bit to be a little darker, the inking, and a little bit heavier for that with the second story of how Elastigirl and, you know, Mr. Incredible kind of fell in love. You know, love at first sight type thing. But I like the first story a little more. I really like the artwork there. And the kids kind of learning something from Bob, and Bob learning something from the kids, saying that he can't push them as hard, but because he did push them hard, they kind of learned to be better superheroes. So I enjoyed that. It was cool to see Bon Voyage. He's a fun villain. So I'm going to give this one 3 stars. If you have kids, you like this world, pick it up. But it's also nothing like, oh my god, you need to pick up Incredibles 2. It's just a fun kind of filler read in your pull list. Alright, moving on to number 10, which is Injustice 2, issue 34. This is ending soon. I love this cover. I love that. Instead of an olive branch, Harley Quinn is giving an olive tree to Poison Ivy. I thought that was fun. But yeah, the story is kind of a filler where we get to see Batman trying to get on the side of Ra's al Ghul and team up with him. I really like the opening moments, though, with Alfred and Bruce's daughter. I thought that was fun, and just seeing where Alfred's going. Is he dying still? We'll have to see, and I think Bruce is kind of realizing that. Also, artwork is gorgeous for this book. It's as good as the video game, you know? Just such perfect, crisp artwork. Great with the facial expression, especially Harley. Come on, Harley's great here, like I said. So overall, I gave this 3.5 stars. It's a pretty good build-up, I guess, to the ending, but it feels a little bit more like a filler issue compared to the other stuff we've been getting from the series. Alright, moving on to number 9, which is the Immortal Hulk, issue 6. Straight in the middle here. I want a, I guess, quicker direction for this book. It's been very slow so far, and kind of the same thing has been happening. It was like, oh me, woe is me, I am the Hulk. Type story that we kind of always get. But I like the horror aspect, and I like that we're finally seeing some familiar faces. Like, we get a little scene from Betty in this one, which I was really happy with, and Jen we get a little scene from. Even though it's the Jen from the Avengers, which I don't really like, because we had really good progression in the She-Hulk series, that she kind of didn't get over her trauma, but she was able to become the She-Hulk that she was before. So to go back to bulky Hulk and say, no, I've not dealt with my feelings, when she has, it's kind of weird in continuity. So don't know how to feel about that Jen being the one interacting with Hulk, but it's cool to see those characters. Artwork changed a bit. I do like the other artists more, but it still brings this creepy horror-esque feeling to it, especially with the coloring, so I don't mind the change. So overall, I'm going to give this 3.5 stars. Again, want a little bit more forward progression here, but at least we got to see some characters we haven't seen in a while in a Hulk book. Alright, moving on to number 8, which is X-Men Gold, issue 36. It was fine, you know. I kind of like the rest of this book. I love Kitty, so I definitely have more of a connection to this book, but I didn't really like Kitty post-wedding, and I like the wedding issue. I know I'm in the minority with this, but I enjoyed the wedding issue a lot, but I really don't like where Guggenheim took Kitty after that. I think there were so many other places we could have seen with her emotions, but her kind of teasing, not obviously on purpose, but felt like her teasing Colossus, like, oh, I want to call you because I can, you know, it's just like weird. Why are you calling him if you literally have nothing to say? It's like these messages, they don't have any substance to them. It's just kind of like, I'm gonna like talk to you for some reason. So I don't really like those scenes with Kitty here, but I did like the overall story of this, you know, Omega mutant getting hurt and then having to bring him to the hospital, and obviously you have prejudice against this mutant and he's about to die, but then another doctor, because of what she's seen throughout this series and how much the X-Men has grown, is willing to help even though she's just human. So I like that because it shows that one of my biggest pet peeves about the X-Men is that everyone hates mutants, and I don't think that's a fact, and I don't love seeing that in stories. I think there's people that hate mutants and people that like mutants and, you know, aren't bigots. So I'm glad that we kind of had a more realistic portrayal of that with this issue. But we don't know what happens to the mutant, and that's kind of how the story ends. So it's an okay ending to the book, to a kind of weird, hilly series, in my opinion. So X-Men Gold issue 36 gets 3.5 stars. Artwork is pretty good for the book, though, that I will mention, which is why it's a little higher than some of the other series here. Alright, moving on to number 7, which is Go-Go Power Rangers Back to School issue 1. A fun filler story. You know, there obviously Power Rangers has had a lot of events, storytelling going on, a lot of plot progression, so it's kind of nice to slow things down with this book and get to see what Marguerite Bennett's voice is on with these characters, even though she's going to be handling other Rangers in her series. It still was nice to see how she deals with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And, you know, what the kids are doing during their spring break, and kind of pokes fun at the TV narrative where every week there's a new villain, and in this story it's like, surprise, Rita didn't, you know, try to attack us this week. I guess she's like basking in the sun. So I thought that was fun, and I really think that Bennett was able to showcase what's powerful about all these characters as individuals and as a group. You know, different art styles, which I think made sense throughout the book, though, because it showed the different short stories. So overall, it's a fun book. It's a good palate cleanser, and I'm gonna give this 3.5 stars. It's not, oh my god, you have to pick up this book, but if you're a Power Rangers fan, it's a fun issue. Even though it's $7.99, that brought it down a little. That's a pretty hefty price tag for what it is. All right, moving on to number 6. Which is Batman issue, what are we up to? Issue 55. It's hard to see it with the Virgin covers. Like, where are the numbers? It's on the bottom. And I did an in-depth review for this. I won't go too in-depth with this one as well, but it's a slow burn. It's a slow burn issue, which is why I didn't make my top 5. But Tony S. Daniels' artwork is so good, especially with the quiet moments. There's a lot of quiet moments here where Dick Grayson and Batman are just having fun. We're seeing the lighter side of Dick Grayson, and then he gets shot by this unknown assassin. And that's the story. I think the story after this is going to be more interesting than this actual issue. I thought it was good, but it's just a propeller to where it's gonna go. So I gave it 3.5 stars. Obviously it's an oh my god moment. I don't know how to feel about what this is gonna mean for Dick Grayson from what I'm hearing, but you can hear my thoughts in my in-depth review for more of that. So Batman issue 55 gets 3.5 stars for me. Alright, moving on to number 5. We're in top 5 now. And that's Death or Glory, issue 5. I thought this was a really solid issue, and I think it has everything you want from this series. We have drama, obviously, from our main character's previous family and ex-husband. I didn't really like how the ex-husband randomly showed up at the house, though, and then she had to, like, start making out with him to distract from the fire. I don't know, that was kind of weird. But I did like the aftermath of that, where she's got to go in her car, and they got to run, and she's being shot at, and then her other trucker friend slash family helps her out, and I like that, because that's something that's been unique about Death or Glory. And Bengal's artwork is really cool fit. I like it. Good artwork overall. Again, I like the car scenes that he ends up doing. Let me see if I could show you the chases. I'm glad we've been getting more car scenes in this series, a lot more chases. So, giving this 4 stars. I thought it was a solid issue. Alright, moving on to number 4, which is Strangers in Paradise XXV issue 6. Another really solid issue, and finally we get to see a bit more from Francine, even though it's not Kachu and Francine together. We do get to see a little bit of her being a mom and seeing the kids, which I really liked, and you get to see how the kids are similar to their mothers, so I like that. And then obviously Kachu doing everything she can for her family, and she's ready to kill Stephanie. And I love some of the paneling and just like artwork here. I love the visuals, like, kill Stephanie! Kachu's just being Kachu in this book, but again, in her heart she knows she just needs to save her family. And again, she does it in a Kachu way where she's like, maybe if she actually asks for help from her family, she'd be able to, be able to do this a little bit better and easier. But because it's her character's like, no, I'm going to protect my family by not saying anything. So that's fun. I really like, obviously, how true it is to her character. And we're developing the plot a little bit more. We actually get to see the papyrus in this issue. So solid stuff. And obviously the artwork's always gorgeous. And if you like the series and you like these characters, I think you'll like this issue. So giving that 4 stars, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3, which is West Coast Avengers, issue 2. The plot doesn't progress much here, but it's a hysterical issue. We get a lot of funny moments with Brodok, where everyone knows it's MODOK, but Brodok doesn't know that they know that he's MODOK. So, I love a lot of these lines in this issue. We got Gwenpool and Quentin Quire making out, and we get Kate's boyfriend, and Miss America is like, no, I don't want to see this. We have quotes about Kate's hip holes. You got everything here, and it's hysterical. The actual plot with Tigra, it's slow in this issue, but it makes up for, again, some really great character interactions and learning a bit more about Brodok in a comedic way. And I like the chemistry of this team as well. Artwork, so good. Really like the art style. I think it really shows the expressions very well with this, which is why I think it's such a great comedic book. So I'm gonna give this one. I just saw this as a legacy number, which is 104. Anyways, I'm going to give that 4 stars. So that is number 3. Alright, moving on to number 2, which is Mr. Miracle, issue 11. Damn, this series keeps getting better and better. I remember when I started reading this series, I'm like, only if you're a Mr. Miracle fan, you'll like it. But I think now, as we get towards the end, it's like, anyone could like this book, even if you know nothing about the New Gods, because they just made it so relatable. And with this issue, it's Big Barda and Mr. Miracle going up against Darkseid with veggie plates, which I just love that whole page, where Darkseid's like, okay, I'll eat the veggie plate as I wait, and you negotiate. Let me see if I can find those panels. This is hysterical. The paneling here is just so good. The small facial expressions. I like that Tom King uses a 9-grid format for a lot of his books, but especially Mr. Miracle works very well with the small emotional beats in this book that is so important for this series. Because again, it is such an emotional book that shows the small beats of not just emotions, but I guess realistic timing, realistic storytelling, which I really like. So anyways, with this issue we get to see Big Barda and Mr. Miracle giving their baby to Darkseid, and Darkseid thinking he's won, but Big Barda, she got the guns, the stroller, and she blasts Darkseid. Darkseid gets up, you think, oh my god, they're gonna die, but no. We get to see Mr. Miracle stab him in the eye, so we'll have to see what ends up happening to Darkseid. Is he truly dead? And then we also get this interesting but weird commentary on maybe Mr. Miracle doesn't take place in DC Rebirth, because we get to see this map of, like, look at this world. So we'll have to see in the next issue if they explain that, or they're just explaining, I guess, the multiple multiverses that existed. So, because this has been so self-contained, you really don't know where it takes place, in what world it takes place in either way. So, really enjoyed this. I've been really liking Mr. Miracle, and honestly, I've never really read a lot of the New God stuff, so it's truly new reader friendly, and it showcases a new type of story for Mr. Miracle and really just superheroes in general. So I just like the lulls in this issue. It's weird to say that, but it just shows this kind of realistic timing, like I was saying, and it's just about these parents trying to save their kid, and it's nice, and again, I like the small moments of, like, veggie plates could be thrown in here and have a whole page of Darkseid eating a carrot, you know, or the baby pulling his nose and Mr. Miracle and Big Barda arguing that he knows a word or not. It's just so fun and realistic. So I'm going to give this 4.5 stars. Really like this book, and super excited to see how it ends with issue 12. Alright, moving on to number 1, which is Life of Captain Marvel, issue 3. I think very fitting, because the Captain Marvel trailer came out 2 days ago. And I really like this series. I like that things are changing too, but I feel like in a way that makes sense. So we get to see Captain Marvel still dealing with her anxiety that she hasn't really dealt with. She's also, you know, having some romance with a childhood friend that she doesn't know how to feel about. And then adjusting, you know, her brother is doing better, and her mom, though, seems like she's hiding secrets still. So Carol's trying to budge and say what's going on, and the mom's kind of ready to tell the truth, and then Carol has an anxiety attack of some sort, and falls in the water. So Carol's mom sees that she's not doing well, but it's Carol, so, you know, there's these machines there, some Kree technology that's attacking the town, so Carol's like, alright, I gotta push my emotions once again and save my family, save the town that I love. And by the end, you think that this Kree technology is attacking her, but this is where things change. We get to see that it is her mom. So maybe that person that the dad was kissing was actually their mom. I don't know. So this is pretty big, that the mom's been hiding this, but it makes sense, and I think maybe it shows why Carol was chosen with these abilities. Maybe because she had Kree DNA, so when the accident happened, it just made her Kree DNA awaken in a way. So I'm really excited to see how they explain that, and I like the new direction. I think, yes, it's a retcon, but I was surprised, and I'm excited to see, again, how they explain things, and I thought it was a really cool cliffhanger, and good mystery, and just been really liking Carol in this setting. It's grounded her in a way that she's needed to be grounded for a long time. So, overall, I'm going to give this 4.5 stars. Some beautiful artwork. I especially like the little moments where she uses her abilities, like she doesn't realize she's flying. I like those small moments that it feels like she's kind of gotten her powers for the first time again in some ways. So, I also like just her changing into her costume. Some really cool beats for the artwork here. Let me see if I can find the costume change. That was a really cool page. Here it is. See? I don't know, I really like it. The colors are really good as well, really bright. So, yeah, I'm going to give this one 4.5 stars. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below, there are links for my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter. And I'll see you guys later.